Okay, today I want to talk about some Bigfoot sightings in my area. As you know from either earlier in this video or in another episode of this show, My Crypto World, I was telling you about a track finding that I went to explore. Well, there is a pretty good history in this general area of Bigfoot sightings. There was one in the 40s of a man I used to go to church with. He's passed away now. And when he was a young man, he was getting out. I used to run a bus up through here, like a transit, to haul people back and forth. 'Cause I used to have a movie theater and stuff way up the holler here. Anyways, and he was coming home. I don't know where he'd been that night, but he was a young man. And as you got off the bus, you have to walk through a small field, and then there was a swinging bridge. And then there was houses on the other side of the swinging bridge, which was where he lived at that time. So he gets off the bus, and he was walking across the swinging bridge, and he looks down, and there's a creek. He goes across the creek, of course, and he sees these two red eyeballs, glowing eyeballs. And so he kind of picks up his pace and gets on across the swinging bridge. Well, this thing comes out of the creek and it starts chasing him, and it chases him all the way into his house. And I interviewed this man and talked to him, and he went and got inside the house, and he told me, I don't know what I would have done if the door had been locked. So, right here we got some crime, but we don't have to worry about people coming into your house very often. I know everybody around here has guns, and if you come in their house, you're liable to leave unresponsive. But he said that they wouldn't, if the door had been locked, he don't know what he would have done. So as I was interviewing him and talking to him about it, I asked him. I said, "Well, do you think it was something running on four legs, or like a dog or something like that, or a bear or something?" He said, "Oh no," said it was on 2 feet, whatever it was. And I told him, I said, "Well, you've probably seen a Bigfoot." Now that was in the 40s. Well, in 2013, my neighbor that lives across the street, he walks for exercise up and down the roads. Usually he'll make a few trips a day, mornings and evenings, just according to how the heat is and how he feels. Well, in 2013, he was coming back home from his walk, and he seen a Bigfoot right beside the road. We live in a real rural area, and it went across the road and up through the mountains. And I interviewed him as well and talked to him about that. I investigated that, and I was able to find a big large X that had been made, and didn't find no tracks that I can recall. But that's within a quarter of a mile of where I live right now. And then during that same period, just a few days after that, there was a report, another probably maybe a half a mile down the road, of people seeing some real large glowing eyes next to their barn, and they said it wasn't down low, it was up high. Where it was big. So that's basically 3 sightings in this one little area, right? All within a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile of my house. And that does not even take in consideration that the Bigfoot that I seen, and that it was in the fall of actually it's in the winter of 2013. It might actually been rolled over to 2014. And I seen a Bigfoot stepping between 2 trees. And I wrote about it in my book. I ain't never really told about it on camera or anything like that. But now it was big. It was, if I was guessing I would say it was probably 8 or 10 foot tall. It's the biggest one I've ever seen, I guess, or encountered or whatever. But it was just I didn't even realize how big it was at the time until later on. There was a normal sized man standing where I seen this thing, and then I could realize just exactly how big it was. So that's 4 sightings, and 3 of them within the last few years, all within, well, during 2013, 2014, I guess, all in that one area. So when I got the information on the unusual track being found, I had to go check that out. So there's good history here. And another thing too that happened in this same area, I had some friends that live real close by. They've passed away now. Both of them died within just a few, about a month of each other. And one of them came to my house a little bit before they died, and was talking to me. Said, I don't know what that is behind the house, but it's big. I said, what? And said, he told me, there's something coming in behind the house, and it's real big. Said, I don't know if it's a bear or what. Well, they had an old dog there. I mean, it's really old. Didn't hardly have no teeth or anything. And they would feed it. And the theory was that the Bigfoots was coming down there and stealing the food, eating the dog's food. And the reason I think it was Bigfoot, well, other than it being right where I seen the big one step through the trees, right in the same area, was that I went in there and investigated, and found some unusual stick breaks where some young saplings had been broken and shoved under an old dead log that had been laying there probably for years. And then I found some limbs that had been kind of plaited together. Kind of, well, they weren't really plaited, I guess. They was kind of weaved together a little bit in a way that was kind of odd. And I did find what I think was a partial track at that, during that searching. But there's been several times that these Bigfoot have come down through the mountains at night. You can hear them, and they make some sounds. I've tried to record them a few times, and so far I've not had any luck. It's always when I decide I'm not going to record that night, that's usually when they come or something. I don't know. Just bad luck, I suppose. But they make sound that is similar to an owl. I kind of think that it may be young Bigfoot because they're trying to mimic the owl, but they can't hardly do it exactly the way the owl does. And there was 2 of them. Just come down through there. But see, I've got another neighbor who puts out leftover scraps and stuff for the animals and birds or whatever. And so I think maybe they might be coming to that too. But yeah, I told the guy that the guy passed away that was talking to me about that. I told him, I said, but it's probably Bigfoot, and because we see that's I think he talked to me after he seen this one, that my neighbor had seen this one just right here below the house. So this is a good area right through here for Bigfoot. Several sightings, and now the big piece of equipment going down the road. Now the other day too, when I was exploring for I went and tried to find the track, trying to verify that. I went into the same area where I had my very first Bigfoot encounter when I was like 15-year-old. And the landscape has changed some. They've come through there and widened the road, and where I think they've done some stripping or some core drilling or something through there. But it was kind of a neat thing, I guess, to go back. It's been several years since I've been back in there. I guess probably been 3 or 4 years since I've been back right where I had my first Bigfoot encounter. I didn't see it. We didn't see it. We was coon hunting and stuff. I made a video of that. You can probably I'll try to link it up there at the top with the little icon thing. You can click on that, and then you can go look at my first where I tell about my first encounter with a Bigfoot. So all this has happened right here in just this general area. We have a lot of we have a lot of stuff for a Bigfoot and bear to eat, which just several years ago, before we actually had bear in here, it's very rare to find a bear around here for many years. But now they re-released them, and now we're probably getting too many of them again. But we got all kinds of acorns and berries and things for them to eat, and we got streams with fish and stuff. So it's a good area for Bigfoot We have elk too, so deer, lots of deer. And I did have, so during that time of all those sightings in 2013 and 14, and we had a weird thing kind of happen here at the house. I was out in the yard, or on the porch one, and right out of the mountains in front of the house, a deer come running, and it jumped over my fence and into my yard. And I went out to see, out around back to see what was going on. And it had ran so much, it was bleeding out its nose. I don't know what was chasing it. Nothing never come down out of the woods. I never did hear anything. But it laid down in my backyard. And I actually had video of it on Facebook. I think it's probably still on there. And we gave it a bucket of water, and it seen its reflection in the water, and it paws at the water and stuff, tries to ram it. But anyways, it laid down under my tree out here in the back, my Rose of Sharon tree. And I opened my back gate, and as it got dark, I think it was about midnight or so before it actually got up and went on out. But it was, but that thing was running scared, man. I mean, it was. It had ran until it was bleeding out its nose. I thought it might die, but it didn't. It ended up getting up and going on. So what was chasing it, I don't know. Could have been Bigfoot. It could have been. I think if it had been wolves or something like that, wolves would probably come on out. You would have seen them, or they'd have barked, or if it had been dogs or something, you'd have heard barking. But what's I find a little more striking about it is that it was. That it was right when, right around the same time a lot of those Bigfoot sightings was either happening or they was fixing to happen. They started happening. So could have been Bigfoot chasing it or whatever. But evidently it ran a long way, jumped in my yard. And I don't know, man. That was interesting that day. But I don't know. Oh well. But I just want to share some of those stories with you. So I thank you for watching My Crypto World, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Have a good day.